All right, today we are diving deep into the world of narrative nonfiction. We're talking about the incredible craft of taking the messy, chaotic truth of real life and shaping it into a story that you just can't put down. We're going to explore how writers find, report, and build these true stories literally from the ground up.
So let's start with the big question. Why do we even need stories in the first place? This quote from Thomas Alex Tizon, it just gets right to the heart of it. Stories aren't just for fun. They are the tools we use to make sense of the world. Without them, life is just, that's just a bunch of stuff that happens, right?
So, Section 1. Why true stories matter. To really get a handle on their power, we need to see what they can do in the most extreme, unimaginable situations. I want you to go with writer Jackie Banasinski to a Sudanese refugee camp. Just imagine it. Amidst all this suffering and loss, every single night she heard something totally unexpected, singing. It was the camp's elders, telling stories to the children. In a place where they had lost everything, stories were their school, their history, they were literally their key to survival.
This really gets you thinking. What is a story then? It's so much more than just a plot. It's our prayer, it's our fable, it's our history, our music. When you boil it all down, it's the language of our soul. It's this fundamentally human thing we do to create meaning out of total chaos. Okay, so that brings us to the first giant hurdle for any writer, way before they even type a single word. How in the world do you find a story that's worth telling? This is the stage we like to call the hunt.
Section 2. The hunt for a big idea. So, where does this hunt even begin? Well, the legendary writer Gay Tallez was convinced it all starts with one single quality you just can't teach in a classroom, a relentless, almost obsessive curiosity about the private lives of other people.
And this is where Tallez had this brilliant, kind of counterintuitive insight. He learned it as a young sports reporter. Forget the winner's circle. That's boring. He said the real story, the human story, is always in the loser's locker room. So while most reporting is chasing celebrities and public figures, Tallez argued that the deepest truths about our world are hiding in the private lives of the people we overlook, the folks navigating failure, disappointment, and all of life's complexities. But look, just having a great idea isn't enough. A writer has to really stress test it with some tough questions. Like, is there actual stuff happening that I can see with my own eyes? Can I get real unfiltered access? Will my subject actually interact with other people? Has there been a moment of what's called dunwu, a kind of sudden epiphany or realization? And maybe most important of all, what is the big universal idea here that connects this small story to all of us?
So, Section 3. The art of deep reporting. Okay, so once a writer has found that perfect idea, the real work begins. And that is the immersive, often really difficult process of deep reporting, of actually gathering the raw material of reality.
This quote from Catherine Boo, man, it just perfectly captures the mindset you need. To truly get inside a story, you have to let go of the steering wheel. You are not in control. You have to just be present in your subject's world. You ride the bus with them, you go to the store with them, and you let the story reveal itself through patient, quiet observation. You're just along for the ride.
So how do you get someone to open up like that? Well, writer Isabel Wilkerson has this amazing term for it: accelerated intimacy. It's all about building a bond of trust so quickly and so deeply that a person feels safe enough to share the things they might not even tell their best friends. She compares it to peeling an onion. You have to get through all those dry, papery outer layers to finally reach that potent, flavorful core where the real story lives. And check this out. Wilkerson actually breaks his process down into 7 distinct stages. You can see how it goes from that awkward introduction all the way to a real connection. But here's the kicker, the key insight. The most valuable, incredible truths, they almost always come out in that final stage, re-engagement. It's that moment after you've closed the notebook, when the official interview is over and you're just having a real conversation. That's where the magic happens.
All right, so now the writer comes back from the field and their notebooks are just overflowing with facts, scenes, quotes. It's a glorious mess. And now they face what is often the absolute hardest part of this whole thing, wrestling all that chaos into a story that actually makes sense and pulls you in.
One of the most powerful tools for this job is called the ladder of abstraction. The very best stories, they live on the top rung and the bottom rung. Up at the top, you have the big universal themes. We're talking justice, loss, hope. And way down at the bottom, you have the tiny, concrete, sensory details, the smell of rain on pavement, the sound of a screen door slamming. The writer's job is to build a ladder between those two things, making huge ideas feel real by grounding them in tiny details, and making sure to avoid that boring, jargon-filled middle.
And you have to remember this golden rule from writer Tracy Kidder. You just can't build and polish at the same time. It's impossible. The first draft, that's just for getting it all down on the page, warts and all. The only goal is to finish it, because the real art, the storytelling magic, that happens in the slow, painstaking process of rewriting it over and over again.
Section 5. The Prism of a Story. So finally, after all the hunting, the reporting, the rewriting, the story is finished. But it is so crucial to stop and remember what that story actually is, and, just as importantly, what it isn't.
A true story is never reality itself. It just can't be. It's a version of reality that has been filtered through the prism of the writer's perspective and their choices. Every single scene they decide to include, every quote they pick, every detail they choose to highlight, it all shapes our understanding of what's true. And that is an immense and frankly humbling responsibility.
And that leaves us with this really powerful final thought from Malcolm Gladwell. No matter how deep a writer goes, no matter how much they report, they can never capture the whole thing. A true story is never the whole story. It can only ever be one powerful, illuminating slice of a much larger, more complex reality. So the next time you read a true story, maybe ask yourself, whose choices shape this reality? And what incredible slice of the truth am I being shown?